Create Art Podcast Project, National Novel Writing Month, and National Podcast Post Month. Hello, friends. This is Timothy Kimo Bryan, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I take my 20 plus years of experience in the arts and education world and help you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. Well, it's November. Can you believe it? For me, that means celebrating my favorite holiday, which is Thanksgiving. Also, this is my third year for National Novel Writing Month, and where I'll be writing a 50,000 word novel and podcasting every day for National Podcasting Post Month. Killing two birds with one stone. So you're going to hear from me every day in the month, reading the daily output of the novel. I'd appreciate any comments that you have, so please feel free to let me know what you're thinking. You can email me, timothy@createartpodcast.com, or if you go right to the website on each day, you can post your comments right there on the post. Now, why do I do this? Well, if I'm going to ask you to be brave out there and share your work, then I better do it myself. Plus, it keeps my creative muscle going. And who knows what's going to come out of my keyboard here. The podcasting side of the house, it helps me develop my podcasting skills in editing, posting, show notes, all that other stuff that hopefully you don't hear too much of. Now, you can find out about National Novel Writing Month by going to my website and in the show notes, and I'll have the links there for you. And also, National Podcasting Post Month also is going to be in the show notes. So here's today's output. All right, so I am recording this on the 21st of November, but I actually wrote it on the 18th of November. The amount of words I had on that day was 1,490, and that brought up the word total to 23,703. Tinley woke up the next morning hearing some sort of commotion outside of their house. Her neck was stiff from laying in Mark's lap the night before. She first went to Winona's room to check on her. When she got there, the memory hit her, and she started crying and sobbing at the loss of her child. The noises of her sobs and the commotion outside woke Mark, and he jumped out of bed. He ran to Winona's room to find his wife on her knees, crying and inconsolable. He was more than irritated at the commotion happening outside and helped Tinley up and took her back to their bedroom. Once there, Tinley lay on the bed and Mark went to investigate the commotion. There were reporters outside his door. None of them had rang the doorbell. Nonetheless, they were outside, making a racket, jogging for position to be the first to get the story. Mark furiously opened the front door, while still just in his shorts and no shirt and unshaven face. "You vultures need to get off my property," yelled Mark, with a wild look in his eyes. "Mr. Bale, is it true your wife and the mayor have been seen together privately?" asked a reporter from an ally conspiracy online magazine of the followers of Zeno. Most of the reporters looked at him in shock. "Who the hell are you, and what the hell are you talking about? Get off my property before I throw you into the street," said Mark. "So you aren't denying that you're a cuck and your wife is seeing the mayor on the side?" asked the reporter. As Mark took a step towards the reporter to beat him, police sirens went off, and all the reporters turned to see 3 police cars with their lights flashing pull up. Detective Courtney was the first to reach Mark as he pushed through the reporters. "Don't say anything more. Go inside and be with your wife. I got this, and I am sorry," Detective Courtney said to Mark. "Now for the rest of you, pack up and get out of here. Leave this family in peace. You'll get your story later. Now get before I have my boys take you all in for trespassing." "We have a First Amendment right to ask questions and a duty to report the news to our subscribers," said the reporter from the conspiracy magazine. "You have 2 seconds to vanish, otherwise you'll be in the back of my car," said Detective Courtney. The other reporters went back to their vehicles and gathered around the reporter who had made the accusation. "Hey, that was really uncalled for. Who are you? And who do you work for?" asked one of the local reporters. "I have credible information that Mrs. Bale is seeing the mayor on the side. It came out on the All Well Podcast Journal show with Mason Haverty this morning. Didn't any of you get it? I am Thomas Calder from the Don't Tread on the Truth magazine, and I'm getting ready to post my report later this morning since Mr. Bale didn't deny what I asked. You heard the encounter. Are you too scared to report the truth? And you call yourselves journalists," said Thomas. "That's not journalism, that's slander. Slander. Even a freshman reporter knows the difference," said one of the local reporters. "You call it slander? I call it a scoop. See you later, sheep," said Thomas as he got in his beat-up late model car and drove off. The other reporters got in their vehicles and left the area without incident. Before Detective Courtney entered the Bale's house, he spoke to his officers. "I want you waiting down the block, and I want you near the entrance of the neighborhood. Let me know if that reporter comes back. I don't think he has the guts, and I don't recognize him from any of the other press conferences. Do you guys?" he asked. "No, sir, but he's a real jerk. How can you ask those questions at a time like this?" said one of the officers. "Even if it's true, I don't care what people do in their bedrooms as long as it's consensual and legal. Now get out of here. Now get out there and pull a watch. I already talked with your commander, and your relief should be by before the end of your shift. Let me know later what you guys want for lunch, and I'll grab it. My treat," said Detective Courtney. The detective closed the door behind him and waited in the front hall for Mark to return. Since he had reviewed the video from the camp burglars, he knew his way around, but wanted to show that this was the first time he had entered the home. He cleared his throat loudly so that Mark could hear him, as he knew the main bedroom was just on the other side of the wall. "Mr. and Mrs. Bale, it's me, Detective Courtney. I just shut your front door and the reporters have left," he called out. He saw the hole in the wall that Mark punched on his way to the bedroom. Mark came out holding his fist that was bleeding. "Hey, that's no way to deal with those guys. Let's get you bandaged up. Where's your bathroom?" Mark led him to the hallway bathroom instead of the bedroom bathroom. Mark opened the undersink cabinet where they kept the first aid kit. Detective Courtney opened it up and started to bandage Mark's hand. "I know a guy that can fix that hole in the wall. I tell you, those wall rats can cause a lot of damage, can't they? How are you and the missus holding up?" asked Detective Courtney. "What the hell were those reporters doing out there?" asked Mark. "Word got out somehow. Not from us, because we have strict policies on this. We had a press conference yesterday, and some nutjob podcaster was asking strange questions. I think he is the source, but I don't know how he got your name. Have you been contacted by anyone, or have you talked to anyone?" asked Detective Courtney. "Just her parents. They live in another state. They're shaken up and will be coming into town to help with the final arrangements," said Mark. "What about your folks?" asked Detective Courtney. "I haven't talked to them since I joined the Air Force," said Mark. "Is there anyone you can think of that has a beef with you or Mrs.? Anyone at all, even if it's just a neighbor whose lawn your dog took a dump on?" asked Detective Courtney. "Well, we don't have a dog, and we've just been here 2 years, so I don't think we have pissed off any of our neighbors," said Mark. "How about work? Anyone you may have jumped over or got a promotion, or someone who has a beef with your work?" asked Detective Courtney. "I'm a contractor for the Feds, Energy Department, Human Resources," said Mark. "Have you had to fire anyone the past year?" asked Detective Courtney. "Nope, I'm not in management. I learned to stay out of that racket in the military," said Mark. "Okay, I'm going to ask you a sensitive question. I've seen what you did to the wall, and I prefer you not do it to my face because my other job is a fashion model. Is there any truth in what the reporter asked, or said, asked Detective Courtney. Absolutely not. Look, I understand why you're asking me these questions, and I'm not offended. I just don't understand why any of this happened. Plus, I don't need to go to jail for punching the guy that is going to catch the animal that did this, said Mark. I like the way you think, and I love your confidence. I have a patrol officer down the block and one at the entrance to your neighborhood. If that guy comes back, my guys will stop him. You're not under arrest or anything. You and the missus are free to go. But I'd like you to stay in contact with me and let me know when the in-laws come in so I can tell my officers that they're good to go. I don't know why people do the things they do, and you'd think that after all the cases I've done, I'd be the guy to know. All I can say is that whoever did this is not going to get away with it. We will catch them, and they will never see the light of day. Now, I don't want you to go hunting for this person either, because I need you to take care of your family, and your family needs you to take care of them, said Detective Courtney. Thank you for listening to this episode of Create Art Podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard or absolutely hated it, hey, please feel free to leave me a comment right there on the website, or you can email me, timothy@createartpodcast.com. If you got something out of any of the episodes here, please consider sharing it with a friend. And if you would, also let me know what would make this a 5-star podcast, I'd like to hear that. I want to make sure that I'm helping you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. By the way, I run another podcast called Find a Podcast About, and that's where I help you outsmart the algorithm and find your next binge-worthy podcast. You can find that at findapodcastabout.xyz. If you go to the website, there's a way where you can leave me an actual voicemail, which I think is pretty nifty. Anyhow, I have a lot of reviews there of different podcasts from different genres, and I even have some interviews from the podcasters themselves. So if you're looking for a new podcast with a great recommendation, with a well-thought-out critique of everything you need to know about the podcast, then go to findapodcastabout.xyz. We'll see you next time.